For the neck, you're going to make fist with the hands and punch down towards the floor. Try and keep the shoulders as level as possible, making sure that you're isolating and only moving the neck. The chin scrapes across the chest over to one side, and then you extend across the front of the neck, drop the head back towards the floor behind you. Bring the chin to the opposite shoulder and back down to that starting position. For the spine, we're going to cross the hands at the chest and flex the spine so you're rounding the back. And then you're going to coil towards one side. Remember not to let the hips move. You'll shift, bring one shoulder down, and then extend the spine, arching, carrying yourself around to the other side, again into that coil, and back to your starting position. Relax, and then go the opposite direction. Coiling first, and then extending the spine, very small movement. Keep the hips still. Coiling to the opposite direction and back to that starting position. Coming down onto all fours, you're going to segment each vertebrae as you move into extension, starting with lower lumbar, one by one, dropping the spine down towards the floor, completely isolating as you move through this, and then you will reverse, moving up into flexion, starting at the top of the vertebrae and working your way down. Moving into the scapula, make sure to only let the shoulder come along for the ride. The movement comes from the scapula joint. You start by lifting up towards the ceiling and then bringing that joint forward, slowly lowering down and moving back to the starting position, and then you reverse. You'll see he's bringing the shoulder blade forward and lifting up, moving back, and lowering down. Another way to try this is extend the arm out. Again, moving only through the scapula itself, lifting up and forward, rotating down and right back to that starting position. For the glenohumeral, you're going to punch one arm down towards the floor, isolating the shoulder and rotating back. You start with external rotation and then you move into internal rotation, finishing with the front of the hand against the leg. Notice he keeps that internal rotation as long as he can until it gets to that sticking point, and then he externally rotates, trying to make the largest circle he possibly can. For the elbow joint, the palm is going to go up, elbow stays in tight next to the body, and we're going to turn the palm down and press away. Nice easy movement, rotating, bringing the hand up, and then reversing and lowering back down. For the wrist, you're going to flex up towards the shoulder, internally rotate, extend across, and externally rotate, making sure to only move the wrist joint. And working into the hips, you're going to flex up towards the chest, externally rotate that hip until you can't go any farther, and you must internally rotate, press back and around. Notice he's keeping his rib cage nice and tight, and he's going to bring that leg forward and then reverse the movement. So he's extending across the hip and bringing it back around, finishing in that starting position. Moving on to the knee, take a seat and take the right arm underneath the right leg, bring the left hand over the right quad. You're going to extend up, externally rotate, lower down, internally rotate, and extend back up. Remember to make sure the movement is coming from the tibial bone, not from the ankle. For the patella, we're simply going to extend the leg, make sure and relax, and just use the fingers to move the kneecap up and down, and then around, rotating one direction, and then taking it back the opposite way. For the ankle, we're going to keep the fingers on that tibial bone so that we can make sure it's not moving as we rotate through the ankle joint. We'll start by flexing the toes up, externally rotating, extending across the top of the foot, and back to that starting position. And then you'll go the opposite direction, moving inward, lowering down, externally rotating, and flexing right back up. And last but not least, magic toes. We're going to start by lifting up the great toe. All the others stay on the floor. Lift up and relax. Now we're going to lift up the other 4 toes. Keep the big toe on the floor and then lower them down, all the while trying to make as much space as possible between each toe. The third thing we'll do is lift up all 5 toes and drop the big toe down towards the floor. Keep the other 4 lifted. And then we're going to lower the other 4 down.